some tech on this Tuesday, starting with a pretty eye-opening story about Facebook, Twitter, and the impact of the Russians on social media in the United States to try and influence the presidential election. Think about this. Facebook is now saying it estimates 10 million people in the United States saw political advertisements on Facebook that were purchased by a Russian internet agency. And of course, some of the ads that were up there online were going after Hillary Clinton. The CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, initially dismissed the notion that Russia was using Facebook and Twitter to spread disinformation. He's now saying, though, his earlier comments were too dismissive and that this is a very important issue because, of course, many people nowadays do get their information from Facebook and Twitter. We've got our techies. We're going to start with this because this story has huge implications, of course. Carmi Levy, Aaron Burry joining us. Let me start with you, Aaron, on this, and I guess the impact and the significance when you think about 10 million people seeing these ads.
Well, I think it's interesting, Todd, as you mentioned, Mark Zuckerberg initially dismissed the claims that Facebook ads were contributing to the election and spreading propaganda. He called those accusations crazy. And now he's had to go back and eat a bit of crow because it came out that, millions of people actually saw these messages. And I mean, I think it really speaks to the fact that Facebook does influence our opinions these days. And they've said they're going to hire 1,000 people to actually monitor ads that are going out because really Facebook's ads manager is automated. I can go on and say whatever I want and target it to the right people. And boom, I have an ad that's completely targeted to whoever I want to reach. And Facebook is hiring 1,000 people to curate and review those ads now, similar to how they had to hire humans to review all of their featured news stories after they were accused of bias on the part of their curation team. So I think it's interesting. It speaks to that larger issue of how much does Facebook actually have in terms of control over our opinions, over influencing elections, over influencing the type of news that we consume. And it's all about making sure that we open up our Facebook and don't see a completely biased news feed. So I think Zuckerberg is eating crow a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see what type of ads they start limiting or not approving because of these human curators that are now going to be looking at them.
Yeah, it's a great point. And of course, Twitter as well under fire. Twitter has also been targeted by Russians and may have had an outsized influence on the election as well. And Carmi, it gets back to this notion that news agencies do have a certain sense of accountability, what they put on the air, whereas Facebook, for a long time, it was a bit of a Wild West. And now, only now, are Facebook and Twitter realizing not only the impact they have, but perhaps a greater sense of responsibility to all of their users.
That's absolutely right, Todd, and it can't come soon enough. For the longest time, Mark Zuckerberg claimed that Facebook was just a platform, couldn't really be accountable or held accountable for what people used or chose to use the platform for. But of course, now what we're seeing is that there's lots of examples of people gaming the system, of using the ins and outs of how that Facebook platform works to suit their own means, to drive their own agenda. And of course, when that agenda goes against the public good, we've got a problem. This is nothing short of an existential threat to the very future of Facebook, as well as Twitter, as well as Google-owned YouTube. If we can't believe what we see online, what can we believe? And the entire basis of the online economy now comes into question. So Mark Zuckerberg was a little bit slow to recognize that. Thankfully, he has, and he's being held to account. He's handed over a lot of this data, these ads, and all the processes around them to Congress, to the Department of Justice. There will be hearings, but it isn't enough. And I think it really does show that as we move more of our lives online, companies like Facebook, Twitter, and Google need to do a lot more to ensure our trust. And if they don't, it's time for the government to get involved from a regulatory perspective.
All right, let's move on. Topic 2 has to do with the e-commerce site. Canadian giant Shopify now saying they're going to roll out a shopping feature on Instagram, the popular photo-sharing site, of course. Merchants will have an option to make an Instagram post shoppable by tagging it. Users can then tap the post for more product details and even buy the product without having to leave the app. So, Aaron Burry, what do you think about this? I'm wondering, Instagram, is a lot of fun, and all of a sudden it's getting gummed up with lots of ads. Does this make sense? Can they do this in a subtle way and not kind of take away the fun of Instagram?
Well, Todd, the great thing about it is that this isn't necessarily going to clutter up your feed. If you've paid attention to Instagram, it's owned by Facebook, and the ads are really curated to the things that you're interested in. So I tend to get clothes that are targeted to a 32-year-old female, and often I do want to actually go and shop those items. And the bad user experience right now is I'm kicked off to a separate website. So what they're saying here is they're going to help Shopify merchants actually sell from directly within the platform. So they're not trying to clutter up your feed with ads. They're just making it easier for people who use Instagram as a visual catalog of items, as I do, along with food photos. They're making it easier for them to buy from within the platform. And there's already a platform called Like to Know It in the US that allows you to request an email outlining where you can buy all of the items in an Instagram post. And it's really popular with fashion bloggers who often do an outfit of the day where you can buy all of the items that they're wearing. So I think this is just a natural extension of that. And as a user, I'm really excited about the fact that I can now, well, maybe my wallet isn't excited, but I'm excited about how I can now actually just purchase right from an Instagram post without having to go through that secondary step of trying to find where I can actually buy the items.
You think about the fact that Instagram, Carmi, coming out with their numbers recently saying they've got 800 million users every month. I guess this kind of thing certainly makes sense for the folks at Shopify to come up with a partnership with Instagram.
It certainly does. I mean, Shopify's numbers, they just went through 500,000 storefronts, but, that's a drop in the bucket compared to the size of Instagram. It's the world's largest online virtual shopping mall. And Shopify now has a front row seat. They're first in line to capture that traffic and convert that traffic seamlessly into revenue. The oldest retailing trick in the book is make it as easy as possible to separate people from their money. If you streamline the process, they will buy from you. If you force them to jump through hoops, they won't. And in the online context, everything has to happen in-app. It has to happen here. Like Aaron says, don't make them jump out and go online and load up another app, open up a website. Do it right there. Tap, convert, close. You've paid, and that's the end of it. This is a brilliant move for Shopify, the perfect example of synergies and partnership. And right now, it's opening up to a few thousand storefronts in time for the holiday shopping season. But once this hits every Shopify vendor, this is going to be the standard by which online shopping is judged. And it's going to be a Canadian company that's at the forefront.
All right, last one that has to do with a big announcement from the folks at Google coming tomorrow, October the 4th, that a lot of techies are looking forward to. It's their big announcement for new high-end Pixel smartphones and a new Chromebook as well. Aaron, what are you looking forward to here from the folks at Google? We just had, of course, Apple's big announcement early in September, and now this.
Well, Todd, as you know, I'm an Apple devotee. So to be in short, I'm not excited for anything tomorrow because I live in Apple's ecosystem. I've got the MacBook, the Apple Watch, the iPhone. So for me, I'm interested in it from I'm interested in tech perspective. I'm excited to see what they do in terms of photo improvements on the Pixel. Looking forward to maybe what Chromebooks are coming out because we've had a couple of Chromebooks in our office and they haven't been to the usability that we would want from a MacBook. So I'm interested in it, but am I actually going to be a consumer of it? No. And I think it's interesting. I mean, the Pixel had a lot of press when it came out last year, unlimited photo storage with Google Photos and a really amazing camera. But do I actually know anybody who went out and purchased the Pixel? I don't think so. People either have the Samsung Galaxy or Note or they have the iPhone. And I haven't seen a lot of Pixels start to infiltrate my friend group. So I don't know if people are as excited about this as they are about the iPhone X. And my guess is Carmi's not rushing out to buy the Google Pixel 2 tomorrow.
Last word to you, Carmi. What do you think?
Well, my daughter's a Pixel owner. She dumped her iPhone for it, and she absolutely loves it, especially for the photography. She is a photographer. So, in our family, there's a bit of both Apple and Google. The deal here, though, is that Google uses the Pixel phones, the Pixel brand, to set the tone for the rest of the Android market. In other words, what is the ultimate Android phone? And everyone else should follow those standards. 87% of all phones sold globally last quarter ran some form of Android. So this is going to influence the Android market, streamline a little bit, address some of the niggling problems that have faced the platform. Google just spent $1.1 billion to buy the engineering team of HTC. They're doubling down on hardware, and they want to go for where Apple is weak. You may not necessarily buy a Pixel, but the influence of these products is going to be felt in the market for months to come afterwards. So whether you're buying or not, definitely something that we're going to need to be watching tomorrow, because at some point, it is going to touch us one way or the other, whatever we choose to buy.
Carmi Levy, Aaron Burry, great to have the two of you with us. Thanks for this.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.